The orbital chamber of the Galactic Concord shimmered like a living sun, a cathedral of glass and starlight suspended above the burning blue storms of the planet Aethryn. Every species that mattered was there, scaled, feathered, silicon, gas-born, all gathered for one reason, to decide whether humanity would be allowed to remain among the stars. And me, Commander Elias Ward, Terran Expeditionary Corps, stood alone in the center, the only human in a chamber of 10,000 eyes. They called it a hearing, called it a trial. The charges were clear. Humanity had broken the Galactic Accord by waging war on a member species, the Serith Dominion, without Concord approval. The Serith, tall and silver-skinned, stood across from me. Cold, predatory eyes gleamed like knives. Their representative, High Lord Karan, flicked his scaled tongue. "Humans," he hissed. "Primitive, violent, incapable of restraint. Their presence contaminates our peace." Their commander led an assault that slaughtered thousands of Serith civilians. Every voice in the chamber murmured in disgust. I didn't answer. Not yet. The Concord liked speeches, and I had one. At the far end of the dais, the Aethryn Empress rose. Her kind were luminous, tall ethereal beings with skin like liquid pearl and eyes that glowed from within. Among them was Lyra, her daughter, the one who had once fought beside me on the siege world of Trinaxis Prime. We'd shared blood, fire, and the kind of silence that only two soldiers understand, the kind after everyone else has fallen. Now, she looked at me with something unreadable. "Beginning, the trial of humanity." "Commander Ward," the Empress said, her voice echoing like a song of glass and wind. "You stand accused of crimes against peace. Speak." I stepped forward. My boots rang on the crystalline floor. "Your Grace," I said, "I didn't start that war. The Serith invaded a Terran colony. Unprovoked. They burned our cities, slaughtered our civilians, and called it correction of infestation. We fought back. We survived. And apparently, surviving is a crime now." The chamber buzzed again, some voices approving, most scornful. Karan bared his fangs. "Lies. The humans twist everything. They spread chaos wherever they go." I turned to him. "We didn't start the fire, Serpent. But we finished it." That earned gasps, and a faint, almost invisible smile from Lyra. The Empress lifted a hand. "Enough. The Council will deliberate. But before judgment is rendered, the witness of Aethra will speak." All eyes turned to Princess Lyra. Middle, the witness of Aethra. Lyra stepped forward, her robes shimmering like woven light. Her voice, soft yet clear, carried through the air. "I fought beside Commander Ward on Trinaxis Prime," she began. "When our outpost fell to the Serith, it was his soldiers who rescued my people. When our wounded were dying, it was his medics who treated them first, before their own. When the bombardment came, he ordered his men to shield Aethryn civilians with their bodies." Karan snarled. "Propaganda." Lyra's eyes flashed. "I saw it with my own eyes, Karan. You hide behind politics. Humans stand behind courage." The chamber went quiet. I didn't move, didn't breathe. She wasn't supposed to defend me. Not like that. She continued, her tone softening. "I learned something on that battlefield. Humans are dangerous, yes. But not because of cruelty. 'Cause they feel. 'Cause they love. Because they will bleed for someone not of their kind. Even for me." The silence in the chamber grew heavier. I felt the shift. Disbelief turning to unease. The Empress looked at her daughter with a mix of pride and dread. "Lyra, you speak well, but this matter concerns law, not sentiment." Lyra turned, her gaze sweeping across the council. Then let the law hear the truth. She paused, then did something no one expected. She pointed at me and said, clear enough for every translator node in the galaxy to echo. That's my human. The words hit like a shockwave. Every species froze. Every translator hissed, every delegate stared. The Serith delegation hissed in outrage. The gas-born Vesh pulsed in disbelief. Even the ancient Keln archivists blinked their mirrored eyes. The chamber fell utterly silent. Because in the culture of the Aethryn, a declaration of claim was sacred. It wasn't romantic. It was deeper. It meant, this one is mine to defend, my equal, my chosen soul. It was the same vow an Aethryn warrior would make before battle, or a royal before merging life forces. The Empress rose, face pale. Lyra. But Lyra didn't back down. She stepped closer to me, her voice calm. The humans have been judged as reckless. But I have seen their hearts. This man, this species, carries a fire we have forgotten. If he is condemned, then condemn me too. I tried to speak, but she reached out, her glowing fingers brushing the armor at my wrist. Stand tall, Commander. You taught me that on Trinaxis. The galaxy watched as one of its brightest royal figures stood beside a human soldier. The turning point, humanity's defense. The Empress's gaze swept the assembly. This is highly irregular. The Aethryn do not bind themselves to outsiders. Lyra met her eyes. Then maybe the Aethryn need to change. Karin hissed, fury vibrating his silver scales. Blasphemy. The Aethryn sighed with beasts. That was it. I stepped forward. No, I said quietly. They sighed with life. I walked to the center of the dais, facing the council. My voice carried, rough, human, defiant. You call us primitive because we fight. Because we refuse to kneel. You think peace is the absence of struggle. It's not. Peace is the result of people willing to bleed to protect it. You call us dangerous, and you're right. We're dangerous to tyranny. We're dangerous to those who think strength belongs only to the old races. I gestured toward the holographic display of our galaxy, hanging like a star map between us. Every one of your species had its age of fire. You've forgotten it. We haven't. You say we're reckless, we say we're alive. I turned toward Karin. And if the Serith want another war, we'll fight it again. Not because we love war, but because we love what's ours. A heavy silence fell. Then slowly the Empress sat down. The council will recess. But Lyra didn't move. Her hand was still on mine. Middle continued. The shadows stir. Hours passed. The delegates withdrew to debate in private chambers. I waited outside the crystal walls, watching the twin suns sink behind the clouds of Aether 9. Lyra joined me. You know, I said half smiling, you just declared a galactic scandal. She smiled faintly. I know. But sometimes scandal is what peace needs. You didn't have to do that. Her voice softened. You would have done it for me. I didn't argue. 'Cause she was right. The doors opened. A shadow moved. Not a guard. A Serith assassin, silent as a whisper. The blade gleamed with plasma. Lyra shouted, too late. But I was already moving. Instinct. Training. I caught the assassin's arm mid-strike, twisted, drove him to the floor, and wrenched the weapon free. He hissed a single word before I dropped him unconscious. Unworthy. Guards rushed in, dragging him away. But the message was clear. The Serith wouldn't accept the council's decision, no matter what it was. Lyra looked at me, fear flickering behind her calm. They'll come for you. Shrug. They already did. Ending the vote. The next morning the chamber reconvened. The Empress spoke first. The Council has heard both sides. It has witnessed courage, sacrifice, and conviction. The decision will define the next age of the Concord. Curran rose, seething. If the humans remain, the Serith will withdraw from all treaties. We will burn their colonies until nothing remains. I looked at him, then at the Empress. If that's the price of peace, then maybe peace isn't worth buying. The Empress studied me. You would risk your species' future on pride. I met her gaze. No, Your Grace. On dignity. A murmur rippled through the delegates. The word dignity, simple, human, untranslatable in many tongues, carried weight. Lyra stepped forward once more. Mother, the Concord was built to protect life, not to smother it. The humans remind us why we created it at all. The Empress looked between us, the soldier and the princess, and finally nodded. The Council recognizes humanity as a full and sovereign member of the Concord. Charges dismissed. For a second no one breathed. Then the chamber erupted, shouts, roars, hisses, chaos. But above it all, Lyra turned toward me, her expression unreadable. Proud, maybe sad, maybe both. Curran spat in fury. You've doomed us all. No, Lyra said. He saved us. Final act. The silent galaxy. Word spread across the stars. A princess had claimed a human as her equal. A war had been stopped by courage, and by a single sentence that shook empires. The Serith would plot, of course. They always did. But now the galaxy feared humanity, not for their weapons but for their heart. For being the species that could inspire devotion from an Aethryn royal. Weeks later, as I prepared to depart, Lyra found me in the hangar bay. You're leaving, she asked. I nodded. Earth needs me. Core needs me. We've got a lot to rebuild. She hesitated. Then take this. She handed me a shard of crystal, glowing faintly blue. Aethryn Vowstone. It means I stand with you, wherever the stars take you. I smiled, the soldier's smile, the kind that hides too much. And you? She tilted her head, eyes glimmering like moons. I'll be where I always am, right behind the human who changed the galaxy. I turned to go, but before I boarded, I looked back once. She stood among her guards, tall and radiant. Then she lifted her hand and pointed at me. Even across the distance, I heard the whisper ripple through the assembled crowd of alien dignitaries and soldiers. That's her human. And for the second time in galactic history, the galaxy fell silent.